You're watching Local 6, home of ClickOrlando.com. Local 6 News starts now.
Guilty of attempted felony murder.
Now at 5, a guilty verdict for the man accused of shooting a local teen in the head. But first, the arrival. Thousands of passengers begin the voyage home from paradise after their Carnival cruise ship gets stranded. But first, we're following breaking news out of Fort Lauderdale. You're looking live from live pictures right now near Fort Lauderdale Executive Airport, where a plane has crashed into a parking lot.
Now, details are still coming in, but you can see the cars right there. They're going to go ahead and pan over to the left here in a minute. I'm not sure what they're showing right there, but if they pan left, you're going to see at least half a dozen cars that are charred, completely burned out. It looks like a plane has crashed right in the middle of a parking lot. We're hearing that small twin-engine plane, we're not really sure how many people on board or if anyone was in the cars at the time of the crash, crashed today, this afternoon, and you can see they are zooming in and out at this point in time, but we do want to tell you that this is a very bad crash right there near Fort Lauderdale Executive Airport.
And again, this is near Fort Lauderdale, again, near the Executive Airport, and there's a great shot of those cars that are completely wiped out by a twin engine. We're calling investigators right now to get some more information, and we'll keep you posted during this newscast, but you can see it is a mess, again, near the Executive Airport in Fort Lauderdale. Of course, you can get all kinds of information on ClickOrlando.com. Now to our other big story tonight. Thousands of passengers begin the voyage home from paradise after their Carnival cruise ship got stranded. Good evening, I'm Gard Swanson.
And I'm Lauren Rowe. But tonight, many more passengers are still waiting to come home. Late this morning, they started boarding charter flights on the island of St. Martin, flying 1,357 miles back to Central Florida, arriving at Orlando International Airport. A short time later, a 45-mile bus ride back to Brevard County to Port Canaveral, where their vacation that was supposed to be a week long started last weekend. Sean Chabot is in St. Martin, where passengers are preparing to head home. Kristen Giannis is down at the port, where passengers have started arriving to pick up their cars. But let's start with Mike DeForest, who's at the airport, where another set of passengers just arrived. Mike, I'm sure that they have some stories to tell.
Well, those charter flights, Lauren, have been arriving here at OIA, and yes, everybody's got stories, but they all seem to be pleasant ones. In fact, if you look over here, you can see some passengers already who just arrived who are picking up their luggage. Every single person we've spoken to here has had nothing but praise for Carnival. Now, earlier today, Sky 6 was overhead as the first chartered plane touched down here at OIA. That happened around 12:30 this afternoon. Those passengers were originally scheduled to return here on their cruise ship at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, so their vacation was not cut too terribly short. Now, many were pleased with Carnival's decision to leave the ship in St. Martin rather than risk cruising again without a backup generator.
Should there had been a problem out at sea and they didn't have a backup, we'd be floating out there. So I think they did right. They wanted to take care of the safety of the passengers first.
What they did is they told us what was going on. They said the elevator's going to be turned off and don't use the toilets, and they told us what not to do with the toilets, and they were doing a test, and it was supposed to be 5 minutes, but the first time was about 25 minutes.
It was great. I mean, where could you get a better place to be, stranded for a day?
And that's
St. Martin's.
Good morning, everyone. Carnival, any Carnival, right this way. I want you to go down to level 1.
Once those Carnival passengers touched down here at OIA, they went through customs and picked up their luggage. Later, many boarded shuttle buses, which drove them back out to Port Canaveral. They had to return to the port since many had left their cars there. Taking another live look, you can see passengers picking up their luggage after a week-long cruise with a short little delay in St. Martin. The only complaint we've actually heard about was secondhand from people saying they overheard others on the cruise ship a little upset that they were going to have to board an airplane to come back home. Remember, they went out there in a cruise ship, and the reason they didn't want to get on a plane was because they were scared of flying. We don't know how Carnival's handling those passengers. Everybody else, though, is very pleased with how they were treated, Lauren.
Well, that's good news. All right. Thank you, Mike. Let's head out to Kristen Giannis, who's live at Port Canaveral. Kristen, the buses just keep pulling up.
They keep coming, Lauren, full of passengers. They've actually brought in these big lights over here because they're supposed to keep coming well into the night, and they want the passengers to be able to see where they're going. Now, the passengers we spoke to coming off these buses, they're very tan and they're very happy. They're all smiles. They're saying they're very grateful for that extra day in St. Martin.
We swam with the dolphins.
After flying from St. Martin to Orlando and a 45-minute bus ride to her car at Port Canaveral, Jean Van Branken of Albany, New York, says this vacation was an adventure, to say the least.
It wasn't hard. There were Carnival people at every single place directing us as to where to go. Come on this line, we'll do this, we'll get your baggage over there.
You're looking at the first busload of Carnival Dream passengers pouring into the parking lots of Port Canaveral.
That was a little, troublesome a little bit, but we're okay. We made it through.
Gene McDonald says it's been a long day, and he still has to drive to Fort Myers.
We got up 1:30, and then we slept at 3:30, and then because we had to get our luggage ready to go and everything. Once we got loaded on the buses, everything's pretty smooth.
Mostly all the passengers I spoke to say they'll go on another Carnival cruise any day. Now, Port Authority officials are passing out these letters to all these people getting off the buses, and basically they're giving them 2 days worth of parking, giving them back, I think it's about $30, the cost of parking their car here. Lauren?
Well, that's good that they're, helping them out, making sure that they're not paying any extra after that debacle. So, Kristen, what about the people who are scheduled for tomorrow's cruise?
Well, I asked Carnival, and they say they have notified all 4,200 of those passengers saying the voyage is canceled. But what's interesting is we actually met someone who came here who didn't get the memo. We'll have that story coming up next at 6 o'clock.
All right. Always a glitch. Thank you so much, Kristen. And tourism officials in Brevard County, where the Carnival Dream is based, tell us about 95% of hotel rooms are booked, and there's very little room for people with canceled cruises like the Dream. So many passengers are still in St. Martin tonight, and they're waiting to go home.
But they're being taken care of while they wait. This morning, they were treated to a breakfast buffet at the airport in St. Martin. Now, these are pictures the airport posted on its Facebook page. Sean Chabot is there tonight and has the latest on the process to get those folks off the island.
Well, we're told that there are 9 new Delta flights that have been chartered just to bring all of these Carnival passengers home. They are being escorted here by the busload. Hundreds of stranded passengers are finally on their way home after an extra day in St. Martin, thanks to technical trouble on the Dream. Kim Griggs says her family had just minutes to get to the airport.
When did you find out about your travel accommodations? What they were going to do for you?
Do we want to go there?
10 minutes ago.
10 minutes ago? 10 minutes before we got here? It was 5 minutes. You got 5 minutes to get downstairs. Luckily, I was packed.
Since Wednesday, passengers were waiting for word about how they would get home. Now, the extra time means she'll take her granddaughter to Disney when they stop over in Orlando on their way to Houston. But not everyone in their 22-person group gets to go.
I'm worried about my mother, who's handicapped, and they just said she's got 30 minutes to get downstairs, and she hadn't even packed. And I had to leave her behind. I didn't even get to say goodbye to her.
Now, there are still some passengers who still do not know exactly how or when they are going to be getting home, although we are told that the airport is going to be staying busy through the weekend. In St. Martin, Sean Chabot, Local 6.
All right, thank you, Sean. And here's a live picture of the Carnival Dream. Right now, it's still stuck in St. Martin. It's one of the furthest ships on the right there. You can see the big one right there with the blue part sticking up there on the top, and a lot of little boats around it, but that baby is not moving at all. And you can see it's a live picture. There goes a little speedboat right there in front. Carnival plans to bring it back to Port Canaveral to fix it, but for now, it is stuck right there. Again, you're looking live at that big ship. Our coverage continues online. You can find more, including a slideshow on clickorlando.com under the top stories section. Our other big story tonight, justice for the family of a local teen shot in the head.
Just a few hours ago, a jury convicted the man accused of shooting Danielle Sampson, a conviction that could come with a life sentence. Louis Bolden is live outside of the Orange County Courthouse. So what did Sampson's family have to say about the verdict?
Well, they say it's bittersweet. On the one hand, they feel that justice has been served, but on the other hand, their loved one is still paralyzed and unable to speak. This jury deliberated for about 11 hours over the course of 2 days, and in the end, it's a guilty verdict.
We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of attempted felony murder.
Danielle Sampson is still in a coma, but was in the courtroom when a jury convicted the man who shot her.
Danielle is a fighter. there's no way she'd miss this day for the world. She's a fighter. So we wheeled her on in here.
20-year-old Tyrone Mosby showed no emotion as he was found guilty on all 7 counts. But tears rolled down the faces of Sampson's family members, who told us outside the courtroom they are relieved but still have heavy hearts.
It's a bittersweet day. We're glad that justice has been served in this area, but it's not going to bring back my daughter the way we need her to be.
Prosecutors say Mosby was with a group of people who burglarized Chester Joseph's house. When Joseph caught them, Mosby and Joseph got in a shootout, and a bullet intended for Joseph hit Danielle Sampson. She was leaving church with her family and headed shopping on a Sunday afternoon last July.
I just have a word for the young people to cease fire. Put away your weapon, because weapon hurt family.
Family members say Mosby's conviction is proof the system works. However, they didn't want to talk about his possible punishment, saying instead their energy and focus is on Danielle and her recovery.
It's a long journey for us, but we believe in God, that he who started the work will finish it.
Again, Tyrone Mosby found guilty on all 7 counts, including 2 counts of attempted felony murder. If convicted, he could be sentenced to up to life in prison, and his sentencing is scheduled for April 11th. Lauren and Guard.
All right, thanks.
An Orange County mom will spend about a year behind bars for trying to bribe the victim in her son's murder case. Local 6 was in court today as Catalina Ruffin Sinclair was sentenced to 51 weeks in jail. Her son, Besman Okafor, was arrested last year for killing a teen named Alex Zaldivar. At that time, Okafor was already charged because of a home invasion, and investigators say his mother tried to bribe Zaldivar not to testify in that home invasion case. When Zaldivar refused, he was killed. Okafor's mother pleaded guilty to witness tampering and was sentenced today. And new at 5, a couple is accused of going onto a school bus and punching a child.
They claim the student made inappropriate... Pardon me, goodness. They claim that the student made inappropriate comments to their child. It's happening in Lake County, where a Claremont bus driver told police Sandra Macedo boarded the school bus, punched and slammed a male student in the face, and then called her husband. Police say Eric Smith then boarded the bus and also punched the victim several times. The couple then left. Authorities say both confessed to hitting the victim, but say the student was first aggressive toward them. Both were arrested. The victim was treated for a bloody nose. Now, Local 6's Lisa Bell is getting answers tonight, and we'll have much more tonight at 6 o'clock about that incident.
Orlando's tourism industry is off to a strong start this year. According to Smith Travel Research, hotel occupancy for January was nearly 6% higher than last year. The International Drive area saw an even bigger boost with a 9% occupancy increase. Hotels have also been charging more than last year. The average price for a room is up 5% to $104, which is always good news when you're talking about tourism on the way up right here in the tourist capital.
We love it. It's all good.
Yeah, it is. All right, still ahead on Local 6 News at 5 o'clock, a new danger behind online dating.
Coming up in 3 minutes, we'll reveal how predators are picking their targets and going after men and women just trying to get together.
Plus, why some Brevard County homes and businesses need to turn off their lights starting today. We'll be back in 3 minutes.